Now you go to Saudi Arabia, where I just came back, a monumental, epic trip, because I said you cannot continue to fund terrorism. You cannot continue to fund terrorism. And the King of Saudi Arabia, who is really become just, he's a very special man. I mean that. He is taking it to heart. And now they're fighting with other countries that have been funding terrorism. And I think we had a huge impact. We will see. But I think we had a tremendous impact. We cannot let these incredibly rich nations fund radical Islamic terror or terrorism of any kind. We cannot let it happen. Cannot let it happen. It was one of the great 2 days of my life, and I'm sure a lot of you watched it on television. 54 Muslim nations coming together, some immensely powerful, wealthy nations, and everybody in that room was unified, and the ones that weren't, they're trying to get them to be unified and to do the right thing. I think it could have a tremendous impact. But not only that, I said, for me to go, I'm only going, we had to negotiate, if you spend billions of dollars, billions, on having things manufactured in our country with our jobs and our workers for your country. And hundreds of billions of dollars was spent and given to American companies who are going to make American products and send those products over to the wealthy countries of the Middle East. I mean, hundreds of billions of dollars. And people haven't talked about that, but to me that was very important because we want those jobs. We want those jobs. So they're making airplanes, they're making all sorts of things, hundreds of billions of dollars, and it's going back, and I'm very proud of that. That's something people don't talk about because the real purpose of my being there was to make sure these countries do not fund terror any longer. Saudi Arabia, very rich country. We defend them. We subsidize Saudi Arabia. They have nothing but cash, right? We subsidize. And they buy a lot from us. $450 billion they bought. You know, you had people wanting to cut off Saudi Arabia. They bought $450 billion. I don't want to lose them. But the military, we subsidize Saudi Arabia. I called the king. I like the king. I said, King, we're losing our ass defending you, King, and you have a lot of money. Yeah. That's true. And he said, but why would you be calling me? Nobody's ever made such a call before. I said, that's because they were stupid. So we're working to deal with Saudi Arabia. So many things. We want to do safe zones in Syria. I will get the Gulf states who are not doing much, believe me. The Gulf states have nothing but money. I'm going to get them to pay. We owe $19 trillion. We're not paying for it. We're not paying. They're going to pay. They are going to pay. We're going to get the Gulf states to pay for it. They're going to pay. Don't forget, without us, the Gulf states won't exist. They won't exist.
People have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
Probably not.
You've said, though, that if you did run for president, you believe you'd win.
Well, I don't know. I think I'd win. I tell you what, I wouldn't go in to lose. I've never gone in to lose in my life.
If you pick me, you're going to pick a winner.
We let Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets and everything. It's not free trade.
I want free trade, but I want it to be like, at least we break even, right? We do something.
If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Open. Just forget about it. It's almost impossible. They come over here, they sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies.
Japan, they send cars by the millions. They come off those boats.
Kuwait, they live like kings. The poorest person in Kuwait, they live like kings. and yet they're not paying. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke. Why didn't we say we want 50% of your oil forever, or we're not letting you go back in?